Howdy, welcome to the channel. We're in Iowa working on this house. It's 30 degrees outside and had the fire going in the stove all day, and it's probably 60 degrees on the bottom floor, and up here it's about 80. But we're going to be working on this rafter, and we're going to be trying to correct a bow in the ceiling joist that is due to that bad foundation issue we had. So come along and we'll work on this. We'll start today by figuring out what the offsets are we need for shims, and then we'll cut some shims and we'll put up another nailer along the edge of here that will be straight and level and square, and we'll go from there. So let's have some fun. First thing we need to do is figure out the smallest distance between this ceiling joist, it's the one that's bowed, and the ceiling joist over here that we're going to assume is straight. And we will establish a parallel joist, a joist on here that is parallel to this second one up there. We're going to assume it's straight because it was put up there independent of the sidewalls, whereas this one was brought up with the sidewalls, and the bow that's in the sidewalls is propagated to this point. And so we know this one's bent. We have a fair assurance that that one is straight. So we're going to make these parallel. First thing we want to do is find out the minimum distance between this joist and this joist, so that we can make the ends of this the same distance. And if they're the same distance as in the middle, we got three lines, we got a straight line. The way we do that, we're going to use this laser right here. This is a multi-directional laser. It puts out a dot. It goes sideways, up and down, and out. So it's got 5 dots on it. And we're going to use 2 of them, one's going this way, to determine the 2 endpoints of this line. So what we need to do is measure, put this laser in the narrowest point, and then throw these 2 lines to either end, make them the same distance off the straight board as the center here, as a start here, and we got us a straight line. Now to do that, we're going to measure from that straight board to the dot on this laser. And we're going to measure from the top of the straight board to that dot. Now, if you remember your high school geometry or trigonometry, shortest distance between 2 lines is a perpendicular. So if we come out here and we look at that dot and get the closest measurement we can to that dot, we know that is the shortest distance between the lines, and it's perpendicular, and that's what we want. So this measures 46 inches from top edge of the rafter we know is square, straight, to this laser. This laser is self-leveling, so we know the dots are at the same height, and we know this line is at the same place all the way up and down. What we're going to do now is measure down there 46 inches and put a spot on the wall, mark on the wall, and we'll put a spot or mark on the wall on that end at 46 inches, and we'll adjust this until it hits both spots on the wall. So here we are on the east end, and we're going to measure that 46 inches from this ceiling joist here to the line, to the dot. We use the top edge of that joist as a reference. And when that joist went in, it was measured to be level, so we're pretty sure that's consistent. And we'll measure down here, and since I only got 2 hands, I'm going to note where this is on the wall and then come over here and make a mark on it. And that's 46 inches from that joist to here. Now, when I'm down there at the laser, I'm not going to be able to see this little mark. So what I've got, went by the hardware store, automotive store, picked up some retro reflective tape. Here's that red and white stripe that you put on the sides of cars, trailers to light things up. And I'm going to put it right on that mark. So the edge of this tape is where I want that mark to be, that dot to be. Now I'll go down to the other end and do the same thing down there. Measure 46 inches down, put a mark, put the edge of the tape on that mark, and then we'll adjust the laser. Okay, I've got them marked. So now we adjust this laser a little bit at a time. And I've got this laser on a tripod so that I can move it fairly easy. This thing tends to jump on me and then overcorrects and then can't get it back. You can see that light is a lot brighter when it's on that tape than it is when it's on the wood. So we want just that little bit there. So that tells us a couple of things. That's on the edge right there, and it's even on both corners, both ends. But that lets us know we got another problem. So the spots are equal on both ends. We can see it on the dot on this edge down here. See the dot on that edge back there. And we can tell that it is the same on both ends. But that lets us know we have another problem. This is a self-leveling laser, so that line is not only straight, but level horizontally. And if we look at this dot down here, we see that it is even with the top edge, or almost even with the top edge of this ceiling joist. And if we look at it down there on that end, which I'm not going to measure, turn the camera around, but you have to take my word for it. It comes in at about right here on that end. And if we look at this, see there? We look at that dot, we take that over to this edge, it comes in about the same place. So I know that that corner in board is level to here. But if we look down that way, we know that corner dips down. Let's see what we can do about that. So if we follow that laser down, that dot down, and see where it intersects, or it projects to intersects the ceiling joist, you see that it's level down to about here. And we come on down some, and we can see that it starts dropping right there. Come on down some more, and we see that it's a lot off. We come on down some more, and we see that it's off a whole lot. And what we need to do then is take this end up about an inch. We need it down, it's up here, and we need it down there. One problem though we have with that is that the top edge of this ceiling joist is up against the metal rim. It's up against the metal rib of the building. So there's not a whole lot we can do about that. It's just going to have to be good enough. What that means is that this ceiling is going to be nice and flat until it gets down here in this last few feet. It's going to angle down about an inch. Don't really think that's going to be an issue. On this side, it's going to be covered up by this platform, and you'll never see it. On the other side, we had the same issue, and we had the same problem. It came down, but it was up against that rib, and so we couldn't do anything about it. On that side over there, we're going to have kitchen cabinets, some upper parts of the kitchen cabinets that are going to kind of block it out. So you're probably not going to notice that. So you can't see it, it's good enough. The next thing we need to do is turn the laser back on. It's nice. This has an automatic shut off so your battery doesn't die. It's a pain because it has an automatic shut off. Okay, double check again to make sure we're in the same spot. And what we need to do is calculate the shims that are necessary to move this surface out to the same distance from the beam as this. Now, when you're measuring using a laser, whether it's a line or a dot, you always measure to the middle of the beam or the middle of the dot. Remember, even though it's a laser and goes fairly straight, there is some divergence of that beam. So it starts narrow down here, and as further away it gets wider. If you measure along an edge, you're going to drift off by however much that divergence is. If you measure the middle of the beam stays straight. So you want to measure from the middle of the beam. So we're going to make those measurements, and we're going to write it on here because I don't have any paper with me, and I'd probably lose it anyway if I did. And I just broke my pen, so we'll have to see what we can do about that. It's working. I put it back together. When you're homesteading, you got to be self-sufficient. Some of that time means you have to repair your pen. Know how it goes together. So we're going to make those measurements now. So we come up here, start making the measurement. We see that it's 1 3/4 inches off here. So we'll start down here. Measure how far it's off down here. So in this one, it is 4 7/8. Now I'm writing down the measurement from this surface to the dot. I'm not going to try and do the subtraction up here while I'm writing them down. We'll do that later when we make the cuts. Come back here a foot, and it is 4.5 here. Come back another foot or so, and we see that it is, I want to measure straight across at that beam point. We see it is 4 1/16. That one. Come back another foot or so. That is 3¾ It's 3¼ and I'll just do this all the way down to the other end, and we'll be back when I finish. Okay, all the measurements are done. Oh, like I said, it is 80 up here, if not more, and it is hot and humid. We're getting condensation on the metal ribs, so sure be nice when we get this insulation in, and we can keep that moisture out of this space. We got one vent in the top down there. We're going to put another vent on the other end, and that'll keep this airspace dry and won't get any condensation from heat in the house. But for now, we're getting condensation. Haven't seen it drip on any of the insulation yet. Hasn't marked, hadn't had any water through it. So we're lucky there. And it's angled enough that it should just run off to the back and down into the concrete slab. Now we're finished. We got all the measurements done. And luckily it was symmetric. It's 4¾ inches off on this end and 4¾ inches off on that end from this face to the laser dot. And it's 1.5 inches off on the center here. So you can see it's a fairly significant, about a 3-inch, a little over 3-inch change in bow on each end from the center. So we're going to need to work up some shims for this. We'll be cutting up some 2x4s and some 1xs and some 1/2-inch OSB and maybe some other stuff, but we'll put it in there. We'll get it to within 1/8 of an inch where it needs to be and screw it in here, and that will be on the next one because it is hot up here. And that is it for now. So we'll talk to you later. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that thumbs up if you like it, and ring that bell when you want to see more like this. Have fun, and for now, that's good enough.